A U.S. Senate committee is going to vote whether or not we need to start killing sharks. A California couple is accused of tricking women into carrying babies through surrogacy. And Indian tourists in Thailand called the police over a woman's small breasts. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, your only source for daily weird news in the audio podcast format. You're welcome. A U.S. Senate committee is voting on whether or not we need to kill sharks in order to stop them from eating all of our fish. Well, they'll do anything except for release the Epstein files, won't they? It's going to start killing the sharks. Hey, guys, how about some free air conditioning? I could use free air conditioning. Let the sharks do what they do out there in the oceans. I'm sure they're doing what they're supposed to. Although, I don't know, maybe some of these sharks are undocumented and they need to be culled. Let's keep reading before we judge on our very intelligent lawmakers and the decisions they make regarding our taxpayer dollars. This story's out of Washington, D.C., where all the smart people are getting paid lots of dollars to make decisions for the rest of us because we're not really qualified, right? You know, I mean, you leave it up to us and we're going to want, like, I don't know, health insurance. That's just foolish. Let's deal with the sharks instead. The U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation is going to vote on legislation that aims to stop wild sharks from biting fish on fishing lines. Could you please define wild sharks for me? Aren't all sharks pretty wild? I mean, I don't know. I haven't been in too many homes where I saw some domesticated sharks, but what do I know? I'm not a member of the Senate Committee on Science. Now, this bill they're going to vote on is called the Sharked Act, S-H-A-R-K-E-D. Very clever. Well, leave it up to them. They're very smart. They know what they're doing. And it would create a task force, a shark task force, to study shark behavior and make some recommendations. Hey, I'm going to save you guys a bunch of money right now, all right? You don't need a task force to study the shark behavior. You don't need to be confused as to why sharks are biting fish on fishing lines. They're there. They're an easier target because they're not moving. You know, ordinarily the sharks have to chase their targets. They're an apex predator. So it's a little easier to grab fish that are already on a line because they're not, moving around. So that's why and they like fish. They eat the fish. All right. So you guys you can ditch that committee, that task force to study the shark behavior. I just solved it for you right there. Can I get $150K for that, please? It says, unfortunately, the bill falls short by not explicitly forbidding the task force from proposing shark culls, or rather population reductions, as one of the solutions, leaving the door open to killing sharks. So I guess what you're saying is one of the solutions they could roll with is just culling the shark populations. So let's break this down. So the sharks sometimes eat the fish that the fishermen are trying to catch, therefore maybe, I don't know, kill all the sharks? Because I'm guessing fishing lobbyists are involved here. I'm sure we're not going to see this word in the article, but yeah, fishing lobbyists are probably a thing. That they have a little bit of influence. Let's not address the real elephant in the room, which is we're completely overfishing the oceans, and this is the fallout of that. When you start taking the food from an apex predator, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to try and take that food back from you. All is fair in love and eating, as they say. Is that a thing they say? No. This article goes on to say the task force they've put together also fails to include representation from any indigenous, tribal, or native people, even though sharks are considered sacred to some of them. Well, I mean, I don't think you want to set the bar that high. Like, they're not going to give a crap about sacred animals to the indigenous. I mean, you know who you're dealing with, right? I mean, they'll care about your sacred shark if you, I don't know, maybe come up with a purse large enough to turn their heads. You know what I'm getting at there? Yeah, money talks, basically, when it comes to our representatives. It's very sad, but it's true. I mean, despite them taking an oath to represent the people, they don't really represent they only represent people that can approach them with a sack of cash. Those are the people they really represent. But that's in the fine print. You're not going to see that on a billboard anytime soon. You're going to get it here from the mouth of Jonesy because I like to tell it like it is. Now, it says here this committee executive session is going to be occurring today, July 30th, to consider various legislative proposals. This bill, which passed the House of Representatives in January, is actually expected to pass through the committee. While it can be frustrating to have a shark bite your catch while you're fishing, shark populations are in trouble. Globally, sharks have declined by 71% since 1970, primarily due to overfishing. They interviewed someone named Kristen Butler in this article, who is a Earth Justice legislative representative. Oh, I can already imagine what Kristen's going to say about this. She's probably on Team Shark. She says people keep forgetting that the goal here is to come up with solutions on how we can coexist with these incredible beings, not condemning them for eating fish in their own habitat, something they've been doing for over 400 million years, I might add. Yeah, Kristen gets it. The article wraps it up by saying that sharks need protection now more than ever as industrial fleets overfish sharks and their prey fish. Human-caused climate change and pollution devastate marine life nurseries, including coral reefs and seagrasses. Sharks are a critical keynote species in marine ecosystems. And all that is very much true, but it's sadly never stopped a lawmaker from accepting a bribe. So, hey guys, release the Epstein files. Leave the sharks alone. Release the Epstein files. A couple is accused of tricking women into carrying babies through surrogacy. Surrogate mothers from Texas to Florida thought that they were carrying a baby for a Southern California couple that was struggling to have a child due to infertility issues. Then the women discovered they were all surrogates for the same couple, some at the same time. With all of the babies now in foster care, 21 children total taken into protective custody. This is outrageous. What is this, a baby farm? What's going on here? Why would you collect all these children? Trying to start a baseball team? I have so many questions. Now, this particular story starts with Kayla, who's a 27-year-old from Texas. She was among the many women who decided to become surrogates for this California couple. Here's a quote from Kayla. "I just love being pregnant, but was done growing my own family, so I thought, what better way to experience pregnancy at the same time as growing their family, you know?" Are we supposed to believe that Kayla enjoys being pregnant? That just seems not plausible, but I don't know. I haven't met all of the pregnant women, but in my decades on this earth, I've probably met 100, and I can't remember one that enjoyed it, just being honest here. That's just my firsthand experience. It just doesn't back up what Kayla's saying. Who enjoys throwing up, mood swings, headaches, leg pain, back pain, swelling hands, constipation, rashes, hot flashes? I mean, who likes that? No one. Kayla likes it, obviously. Or Kayla likes the money that you get when you're a surrogate, which can be in the tens of thousands of dollars. That's probably what's really happening, but we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She just loves being prego. Now, it says through an agency called Mark Surrogacy, Kayla was matched with a couple in Arcadia, California. Arcadia, oh, that's where I go to my H-Mart. That's in Arcadia, a lovely little H-Mart over there. If you're ever in Arcadia, I highly recommend it. Now, after a successful embryo transfer via IVF, she gave birth to their baby March 13th. 2 months later, Kayla was very shocked to learn that the baby that she carried was no longer with the intended parents in Southern California. In fact, shockingly, the child had been placed in foster care. Kayla did a little bit of sleuthing on her own and found out that the baby she carried wasn't the only child that was removed from the home of this Southern California couple. Multiple children had been taken into protective custody and ended up in foster care. Because of the living conditions? Or what? I assume this couple has a good amount of money because, I mean, what it costs to have somebody carry your child through surrogacy is, well, it's not cheap from what I understand. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a program. Now, the media spoke with 3 other women who say they were also surrogates for this same Arcadia couple. One who delivered in Florida in June. Tragically, that baby was stillborn. 2 Los Angeles County surrogates say they also carried for the same couple, one who gave birth in March, another who had 2 babies, one in 2022, another in 2024. The women say they all worked with Mark Surrogacy, that same company. The public records show the Arcadia home as the address for Mark's Surrogacy. Oh, so the couple's running this business called Mark's Surrogacy. Strange name for a surrogacy, but they got the word out there somehow. They're getting babies from all 50 states here, and then for some reason turning them over to foster care units. I have a lot of questions here, but my hunch is there's some sort of money scam going on, or it's mental illness. That's usually the 2 solutions in America when you find shenanigans. It's some sort of money scheme or it's mental illness. Now, it says the police launched an investigation in May, the Arcadia police, found child abuse. They were responded to the home after a 2-month-old baby was hospitalized with head trauma. Arcadia police say the baby's legal parents, Sylvia Zhang and Guanjing Zhuan. All right, so we have two Chinese. Well, Arcadia is a very big Chinese community, actually. This is no surprise. The age of these two, we have 38-year-old Sylvia and 65-year-old Guazhan. They were arrested on suspicion of felony child endangerment and neglect with warrants that were served in May. They were later released. Hey, search the rest of the home. There's going to be some more babies over there, probably being abused. Police allege a nanny also abused the baby, and the parents delayed seeking medical care for 2 days. The Department of Children and Family Services also investigated and removed all the children from the couple's custody. 21 children in total. They range in age from 2 months to 13 years old, most being babies and toddlers. My goodness. Now, investigators say that Sylvia was able to show that she is actually the legal mother of all of these and had birth certificates to prove it. In recent months, Mark Surrogacy has filed paperwork to terminate the company, according to public records. But a surrogate in Pennsylvania who asked to remain anonymous due to contractual restrictions says she is currently pregnant with a child for Mark Surrogacy right now. 26 weeks. Yeah, but it says the business has been terminated. Are the checks cashing still for this other surrogate in Pennsylvania? I think you need to do some banking investigations here. Now, sadly, the baby that was abused in May remains hospitalized, and the parents have been arrested. They haven't been able to locate the nanny that's accused of injuring the child. Kayla, who enjoys being preggo, mentioned her up top. She has started a GoFundMe campaign for legal fees so that she can attempt to get custody of the child that she delivered herself. I mean, she didn't deliver it herself, but she carried it. I mean, maybe she delivered it herself. Maybe she just loves to do self-deliveries in addition to being, real gung-ho about being pregnant. She's just a real mother in all the ways you can imagine. Anyways, hopefully Kaylee gets custody of the kids. Somebody needs to take care of these kids. Now, the article doesn't mention the purpose behind all of this scheme that this couple has in Arcadia of just hiring surrogates to, I don't know, it's a baby-making machine going on over here. They don't even speculate as to why this might be. I know that some countries give you cash for having a baby, but it's not very much. I mean, countries have tried to reinvigorate the baby-making machines because of, lowering populations, and couples aren't having children like they used to. The birth rates are plummeting in many places, and they've tried to offer cash rewards for the making babies, and it just doesn't seem to work. So I don't think that's going on here. And it wasn't much money anyways. I mean, it'll cost you more to pay for a surrogate, I'd imagine. A lot more. So maybe it's not money. Someone's trying to build a race of babies. And it's probably Elon Musk. Have they questioned him regarding this? Indian tourists in Thailand complain about a bar girl's chest size and then called the police, thus proving that stupid comes in all passports. 3 Indian men in Pattaya, which is a beach resort city, I would call it, in Thailand, they allegedly promised to pay a sex worker, these Indian men. Very common in Thailand to hire a sex worker, not out of the ordinary. They have entire districts whose economy is based strictly on sex work. I visited Bangkok. I was there for a month. I can attest to this. I was not involved in any of the sex workers. Just saying for the record, but I saw it. It's everywhere. Now, in this story, we have the 3 Indian men allegedly promising to pay a sex worker, so they left the hotel in order to withdraw cash. The 3 Indian tourists then called the police to their hotel because they were very dissatisfied with the bar girl that they had hired. They call them bar girls because that's where you find them. They have these sex bars, and the girls are at the bar. You can take them from the bar. You have to pay a fee to the bar to get them out of there, and then you negotiate with the girl on an individual basis what to pay her for her date, let's just say. You can even take have a girlfriend for the whole weekend. You can pay a bar enough to have the girl with you for 3-4 days, a whole week, a month. These things can be negotiated, but you have to pay the bar and you have to pay the girl. All right, back to the story. The police were called to the hotel room because they had a dispute with the bar girl. The tourist told the police that they were unhappy with her figure, specifically because her, quote, chest was much too small, and they wanted her to leave the hotel room. Yeah, the tourists claimed that the woman had entered their room and was refusing to leave. Yeah, she entered your room because you brought her to your room, and now you're having buyer's remorse. You called the police, you dummies. This is how lax the sex work is in Thailand. That people feel comfortable calling the police when they don't like the girl that they bought. So stupid. Like, hey, Better Business Bureau? Yeah, I have a complaint. What's the problem? Well, this girl has no boobs and a very large penis. I did not order this from the girly bar. Sir, this is Thailand. The penis is a feature, not a bug. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, in Thailand, just be thankful you didn't get a wiener. Take the boobs in whatever sizes they are and enjoy. I've never complained about boobs being too small. I was just always happy to have them. I've complained at the bar that the drinks were too small. Sometimes they don't really give you enough booze. Hey, can I get a little bit? But I've never been dissatisfied with the boobs. Clearly, these Indian men were very much disappointed in that. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. You think the police has got a division for this? Like some kind of like National Breast Inspectors Division? Like, what do they think is going to go down? Yes, hello, police department. Could you transfer me to Itty Bitty Titty Committee? I have major complaint. Like, what did you think was going to happen, huh? What did you think was going to happen? Let's find out what actually happened, though. I'll get back into the story. Now, the woman with the small breastises presented a different version of the events to the authorities. She claimed that she had made a deal with these three men and only wanted the rest of her payment before she left. Yeah, the deal is made at the bar. So the deal's already been made. These guys, as I said, had buyer's remorse. They actually have specifics of what they negotiated. She said she met the men at the bar. They agreed to a price of 3,000 baht per person. Having already received a deposit of 1,000 baht, she accompanied the group to their hotel. Yeah, she gave the deposit to the bar, and she gets the rest. So they go to the hotel. She says, however, once at the hotel, the men began criticizing her appearance. They said her figure was not what they had imagined, and her chest was much too small. I don't know how the men didn't know her chest size. I mean, they don't really wear much, these girls at the bars. I mean, if you got a pair of eyes, you could probably figure out how big the chest is and everything else. It's the surprise dong that you don't see coming. That's the problem over there. Now, the bar girl said that she agreed to leave the hotel but demanded the rest of her payment. The Indian men promised to pay her and left the hotel under the pretext of withdrawing money. However, they then tricked the woman by simply calling the police on her. Pattaya is generally considered to be the sex hotspot of Thailand, a city that draws millions of foreign tourists each year for its red light areas. According to the report, the Indian tourists admitted that they had hired the woman from a local bar. However, they changed their mind after she undressed. They asked the woman to leave. Okay, so this is just repeating their story. Now, what did the police do? Police asked both sides to reach a resolution. Wow, they're such reasonable police. They're like, all right, listen, you and the prostitute just need to talk this out, okay? We're going to bring in a therapist to work this out with you. I mean, it's just such a different culture. I mean, in the U.S., everybody's arrested. Everybody. Even the hotel owner, possibly. The police threatened legal action if they didn't come to an agreement. Eventually, the tourists received a partial refund, and neither party pressed charges against the other. So they amicably worked it out. I'm guessing Thailand doesn't have overcrowded prisons because of maneuvers like this. And, I mean, you got to hand it to the Indian men. They actually thought to call the police in this instance, and it worked out for them. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, I referred to them as morons up at the top, which, that was really out of line. And I'm admitting it here right in this segment, and I usually don't do that. But as they say, context is everything. And in certain places in this world, you can call the police for stuff that you would never imagine that you would want to get the police involved, like with prostitution or drugs. Hi, police. Yes, this is the police. Look, I just bought some drugs, and I think I've been swindled. Could I text you a photo of this bag? Can you tell me if it's a little light? Hi, my friends and loyal listeners of the Weird AF News podcast. Thanks for spending some time with me. I went a little long in this episode, it looks like. I guess I had a lot to say about these segments, so forgive me for that. We're going to go over 20 minutes, which is a little bit rare lately. I want to read a rating/review that I got on Apple Podcasts from HH the Great. This just came in about a week ago. And the title is Jonesy on Top. 5 stars. Jonesy, I left a review earlier. I know you don't remember me. I was the one listening when I was 8 years old. I just wanted to let you know that this is the greatest podcast ever. You make me laugh out loud with my AirPods in, and if I'm sad, you make me smile. You're dead ass the goat. Keep it up. That line right there. You're dead ass the goat. No one's ever given me that high of a compliment before. Do you mind if I HH the Great, do you mind if I share this on social media? I want everyone to know that I'm dead ass the goat, or at least someone thinks I'm dead ass the goat. I think this is the biggest compliment ever. Very, very cool. Anyways, thank you so much. If you've been listening since you were 8, I'm curious how old you are now. And if your parents or guardian know that you listen to Weird AF News, because I just don't know if this is appropriate for children. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if this is child appropriate, but I know some kids listen. It always surprises me. But yeah, I don't swear on the podcast very much, hardly ever, really, and try and keep the language clean. But sometimes the subject matter is a little, it can be a little distasteful, very unsavory for the Utes. You know what I'm saying? The Utes. Well, that was splendid. And if anyone would like to help out leaving positive reviews of the podcast, you can do it at these places, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. There's probably some more that I don't know about. And you can also do it on Spotify. You can give it some stars, which only takes about a second. So if you're listening on Spotify, please just slap the stars. It doesn't take a moment to do that. You don't really write a review per se, but you can hit the stars button. Very, very helpful. If you want to support the show because you got a big tax return. I don't know why you'd be getting a tax return in July, but maybe you did. Maybe you filed late or something. I always file late. Can you? Oh, that's a surprise, Jonesy. You file your taxes late? Yeah, I always do. I was going to say, if you'd like to make a donation, go to weirdafnews.com. That's the official website of the podcast. And over there, you can buy a coffee or join the Patreon. That's the way to do it. Appreciate you all. Thank you for your time. And good luck with your life, man.